Hello, my name is Maria Bezubova and you're at my channel Fertilizers Jazz. Here we talk about events, trends, technologies in the world of fertilizers and agriculture. Please subscribe to the channel, put like to this video, and let's jazz. Today I am happy to host a super cool guest, Wojciech Smolarski, Product Manager Fertilizers at Polish Agro. I am happy to welcome you, Wojciech, and thank you very much for joining me today.
And thank you for the invitation. I'm really happy to join your session and answer a couple of questions.
Thank you very much. Wojciech, Polish Agro is a part of the large agricultural cooperative group. So, of course, you know the best the situation in European agriculture, I'm sure. So how do you see the agricultural season going in the Northern and Central Europe now?
Yes, that is right. Polish Agro is part of the Danish Agro Group, one of the biggest and oldest cooperatives in Europe. So let's say we approach all around the Baltic Rim, so Scandinavia, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Baltics, Poland, Germany. So we have the scope around all farming areas. So far, I'd say that our group has been pretty successful providing inputs to our farmers. Looking at Poland, well, I think we could discuss Poland, Germany, and Baltics pretty similar, because more or less we are in very similar regions. So, with some time shift between countries, but more or less we follow the same setup, and we had a good spring, very good autumn season, especially for rapeseed. So it was very, very active, and the market slowed down because of a late harvest and not the greatest harvest with wheat. So farmers were still struggling especially with sowing, and now we also see problems with corn. That's a big issue, especially I would say the northern strip of Poland, Germany, and in some cases also Baltics. Corn harvest is prolonging. The dons, so the parameters for fungus is increasing, and also the harvest is quite disappointing, and a lot of farmers are sowing late wheat after corn, and this is just it's getting too late. We are actually coming into December, so this puts the farmers mood a little bit on the downside. They're just not so happy, but this is regional. The north strip of Poland, because I'm hearing very, very good results in south of Poland, that they are harvesting between 12 and even 14 tons of this 30% moisture corn, but in Poland, in northern Poland, we're seeing 35, even 40, so very high drying costs, and also the yields are disappointing.
I see. And what do you hear from the farmers of your region in terms of, let's say, other factors which are not that much related to what they do, but rather to the whole situation in the market, like, for example, geopolitical turbulence that puts all the markets, including agricultural, of course, at risks of uncertainty, or in terms of cost of inputs. What is their feedback and what is their expectation for the season ahead?
Farmers have started also to manage their risk. I think, I cannot say it about many Polish farmers, because Polish market is quite fragmented. But for example, I can see it in among our German colleagues and the farmers that they're dealing with. So farmers started, selling their grains, putting, purchase of fertilizers with the grain sales. So farmers started also adjusting and managing their risk. Poland is not so fast to adapt to new conditions. We of course see a lot of logistical issues. Like, for example, right now we're missing a lot of trucks because due to COVID and then after war, a lot of trucking companies were closed. And now, for example, we're missing transportation. So even though, for example, there are not bad prices for corn in the harbor, still you need to pay additional 20, even 30% more for freight to get corn for export to harbors. So there are some additional limitations that are now that we're seeing in the market. What is a good thing that the financing costs are coming down, which is of course a big relief to farmers. So slowly both European banks, but also the Polish National Bank is slowly decreasing the interest rates. Also, we see decreasing costs on fuel. So let's say in that regard, the economy is or the farmers' situation is improving. But now, if let's say the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, US will be successful, we will, in my opinion, have a big problem because if the rebuilding process of Ukraine starts, all the possible building companies will just go to Ukraine because it's going to be the biggest market for service. So actually, Poland might get hit. So if anyone is interested in doing their investments and construction jobs, they should do it today, not to wait, when the peace will be established, because that's going to pull a lot of companies from the market to Ukraine.
Yes, I see, indeed. But let's hope that it will happen
Yes,
sooner
yeah.
rather than later.
Of course, of course.
Yes. You already mentioned some expectations of farmers in terms of fertilizers consumption. Can you please elaborate more? What do you see? Which trends do you see? Let's say for the first half of 2026 in the markets where your company is present. How is the expectation about nitrogen segment, which is in a bit of hectic mood at the moment? So how do you see this mood developing further in Q1 and first half of 26?
I think what we need to stress is that the market has shifted from fundamentals into behavioral market, which is it's tough to operate because people are not looking, okay, we have this much demand, this is the supply, and we should expect, okay, this possible price curve, etc. Now it's more like people are waiting for a spark or for an event and they start purchasing. So we really shifted from the fundamental based market into a behavioral market. So market is moving now in waves. So we have these moments of non-activity that they last, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, sometimes even 8 weeks, and then farmers just step in because my neighbor started buying, because this, because that, and then we have these 2-3 weeks of huge volumes being moved, and then I'd say with nitrogen, the market hasn't changed that much. Maybe it's a shift between, more urea, more ammonium nitrate, less CAN, etc. But regarding volumes and the overall consumption, I say always farmers are like, no, I'm not going to use fertilizers this year, blah, blah, blah. But, it's always the story, you can lose weight in two ways. Either you can exercise more, have a better diet, etc., or you can cut your legs. So you're gonna have this the same result. But of course, I think every farmer that says he's not gonna use fertilizers or he's not gonna use nitrogen, it's just under some emotions, because in the end he doesn't want to cut his legs. So on nitrogen, the market moves in waves and with this big peaks of activity, but I don't see any decrease in consumption. At least in our region, I'd say that CAN is decreasing. We see less demand for CAN, but urea is still very attractive, especially that people are looking now at price. Also, Poland is doing way more inhibited urea, which is improving the efficiency. So also farmers are adopting to the new regulations. But honestly, I think it's a good solution to have coated urea. Ammonium nitrate, it's rather a shift from prilled ammonium nitrate to granulated. Both Grupa Azoty and Anvil, they have established new production lines for granulated ammonium nitrate, and I see that they will just simply decrease the volumes of prilled ammonium nitrate for granulated, and UAN is a growing segment. I see that Grupa Azoty is heavily investing in the infrastructure and the marketing process to shift to UAN, because after Grodno was sanctioned, they are the major supplier of urea in Poland. So from the marketing standpoint, it makes sense. Also, I see a shift from NPKs to let's say single fertilizers. So at least in our regions, farmers are slowly adapting to be precise in the variable rates application, which of course brings them profit. So much more sales of DEP, TSP, and some MAP, but Poland was never an MAP country. Police were always producing DEP, and I think it's a matter of the market. But Baltics, Czech Republic, Germany, they've been they've been doing quite a volume of MAP and also potash, either the 60% granulated or very popular in Poland right now, the product from K+S, Corn Kali, and also ICL is also producing the potash plus, so let's say the Corn Kali equivalent. So I also see the decreasing amount of NPKs. So farmers are shifting their needs to like single formulation fertilizers instead of NPKs. So that's what I see. But I'd say the market is balanced. Of course, the first cut when we see it is with the whole NPK segment. But looking at the volumes of DEP, for example, that we sold this year, and how market was quite active with DEP, I think overall supply was very healthy into the region.
And how about the purchasing behavior? So in the past, let's say, month or so, we have seen a huge rally in terms of European purchasing because of this pre-CBAM purchasing. So how Polish and farmers from your region, let's say, sorry, importers from your region reacted at this rally? Did they accept it? This to participate in the rally, or they decided to move their purchases further in Q1 to see how it goes with pricing, with supply, with everything.
Germany was the first one to start moving, and actually based on CBAM, Baltics started moving as a second country, and also Scandinavia, Denmark, they also started doing this pre-CBAM purchasing. Yara was the big motivator because they kept increasing prices, and they've been quite aggressive. Like after summer, they've been aggressive on the prices, decreased the prices, and when they saw that still the market is undersupplied, they were very, very active in increasing prices and setting this tempo of CBAM changes. Poland, I think Poland has pretty decent consumption, especially on urea for industry, for this formaldehyde resins. So these producers, they know what's happening, right? And they are also the first to move, and they are taking a lot of volume from the market, and they are taking up the space in harbor. So the moment I think also the market saw that, okay, something's happening, the big volumes are coming now to Poland. These producers are taking stock for new season. Then like naturally we saw that the farming sector stepped in, and I think like 4 weeks now we're seeing a healthy demand from the farming sector. Grupa Azoty also approached with quite attractive offers for nitrates, and this also stimulated the market. Polish ammonium nitrate prices were super attractive because farmers could get ammonium nitrate as cheap as 320, 330 euros delivered. So that was super attractive, great business for them. And now the prices are slowly decreasing, reaching around 360 360, between 360 to 370 euros. So slowly, also, farmers see, okay, it's not worth waiting. All the producers are increasing the prices. So, okay, I got to take that decision and start purchasing. So both CBAM and also producers stimulating the market with increasing prices.
Thank you. Thank you. Talking about the producers, how do you see the situation now for European fertilizers production in general and more concrete for big Polish producers, taking into account that current gas price is not at the highest level, let me put it this way.
Yes.
However, at the same time, ammonia is at its, let's say, highs because of this supply deficit. So how do you see in which situation really European fertilizers production is at the moment?
I think that after the tariffs were introduced, that was the first relief for European producers. Now, of course, the producers that are fully integrated, so they produce their own ammonia, they are in a very good position with sub 30 euros TTF, and then they can enjoy the ride with especially rising prices. Yara has been showing great results with last year. They've been very successful and very profitable, and also, for example, last year I had a meeting with Yara, and their presentation was also very straightforward. They also said, listen, we have investors in the background, and investors, are expecting results. So we need to have good returns on the invested capital. So you can see that also from Yara's results that they are quite successful. It's a bit different story with especially Grupa Azoty, which invested heavily in the polymer installation, and right now the financing costs and overall investment costs are really weighing heavy on Grupa Azoty budget, let's say. So from what I see, Grupa Azoty is losing money. They are not publishing good results. They are publishing losses. But on the other hand, fertilizer department is profitable and is making money, but the overall situation is tough. Anvil has a bit different situation, but they are just wrapping up their new installation. So there are these test batches all the time of CAN and granulated ammonium nitrate, but also Anvil is a part of this big petrochemical giant, Polish petrochemical giant Orlen. So let's say Anvil has a more stable situation than Grupa Azoty. So overall, I would say that even though the conditions for production are good, the demand is healthy, still some producers, due to, let's say, bad investment decisions or not correct investment decisions, they are still struggling. Also look at Achema in Lithuania. They are not publishing great numbers, so they are also struggling. So I'd say it's a very different market for different producers. Some are super successful and some are really struggling. And also, in Poland, it's not private business; it's state-owned business. So it's not also easy to make tough decisions like cutting jobs, restructuring, etc. Because you have all that political background. So it's not also helping Polish producers. Right now, the situation is going to also change. For example, in Yara Rostock, they are not integrated. They are producing based on imported ammonia. So once ammonia is expensive, plus it's going to be a subject of CBAM. So Q1 it's going to be a different story also for Yara in Rostock. So they're not going to be cheap in Q1.
Exactly. And when talking about production, of course, we cannot avoid discussion of institutional framework in Europe that has changed already in 25 and will change more in 26 with full-scale CBAM introduction. So there were two parts of this change, major change as I see it. First of all, of course, tariff at Russian fertilizers, which were imposed as of July 1. And of course, Poland was one of those countries which felt the let's say, effect of this regulation most heavily.
Yes.
So, can you please tell more about, first of all, the immediate effect of tariffs that you have already seen during these several months, and what will be the effect in the next year or years, how the market will change?
No, it's gonna be a big shift actually, because already we saw like June was a rally for pre-tariff tons. Poland is a huge importer of Russian urea, potash. Like almost the whole potash that we see in Poland is coming from Russia. We also see some strange imports with different certificates of origin, but this is for the let's say proper services, Polish services and customs office to deal with that. But right now, after the tariffs were introduced, we saw a huge decrease in imported volumes, and actually other origins started to become more attractive. And right now, Russians have been really enjoying US market. So they've been just simply calculating, okay, what are the Indian levels, what are Brazilian levels, and what are NOLA levels. So Russians just didn't have any incentive to sell fertilizers to Poland. And I fully understand that. It's also a private business, so they just look at netbacks, what just makes sense. We saw a little bit of activity, so like single coasters going to Polish harbors, some automotive grade urea. It still made sense to import that, and NPKs. Now, one of the 8-20-30 that is imported to Poland, like 90% of the product comes from Uralchem. They are the main supplier of this product, and most of the importers still kept taking the product either to Polish-Belarusian border. Some volumes were delivered from the GUNPK plants, so in Kaliningrad area, from Uralchem plant, and both Szczecin and Gdańsk, they were receiving tons with vessels. So I would say that nitrogen almost completely stopped, after tariffs were introduced, but Russians were able to take a hit, that 45 euros on NPKs, and still keep pushing NPKs. Potash, it's not under tariffs, so potash is just business as usual, and actually the Polish potash levels are just extremely low. We've been discussing with Canadians, Jordanians, if it makes sense, to push some product into Poland, but with values around 335, 340 euros for all product already in big bags. Everyone was selling. Listen, I'm selling standard potash 350, 360 CFR in Europe. Why would I sell 305, 310 CFR granulated product to Poland? That makes absolutely no sense. So Polish potash is really dominated by Russian suppliers right now. So that's more or less the case for today, that we had this level or the period of inactivity, especially on urea. And right now, from November and December, when, let's say, the netbacks are not so attractive, and or the levels from Baltic, so let's say 370, 380, $380 on FOB basis from the Baltic harbors make sense right now for Poland. We see the cargoes coming to Poland. Egyptians helped with this, 507 FOB. So this made the market okay. Let's leave North Africa to do their stuff out there, and let's just switch to coasters from Russia.
And if we think about potential substitutors of these tons, who can benefit in terms of suppliers? Who can benefit from this situation? Who can substitute the Russian tons regularly and in a longer term? What do you think?
Uh, For sure, Egypt and Algeria will be the let's say main two players. But we're waiting for Turkey. You know, they're commissioning their new plant, granulated urea. So it might be that Turkey starts exporting. So let's see how this project evolves. And also, there are big investments in Nigeria happening right now. So both Dangote and Indorama are both increasing right now production capacity, plus they are adapting also their harbors to deal with a bit smaller vessels. So I would say one of the main benefactors right now might be Nigerian producers. Black Sea, you know, like Sokar, Azerbaijan, or Garabogas from Turkmenistan, they've been there, but it's a regional business. I had maybe two cargoes out of Black Sea, and it was always a struggle because just the freight was super expensive. So I wouldn't say like Black Sea will make much sense. Maybe from time to time we're going to ship something into, let's say, northwest East Europe. But the three main players, then we were discussing Nigeria, Egypt, and Algeria.
Yes, yes, indeed. Fully agree with you. Coming back to the CBAM, the famous CBAM, of
Yes.
course, there are a lot of speculations now about this regulation, how it can really be implemented if at
Mm-hmm.
the end of November we still don't know the exact regulation, how it will be
Yes.
calculated. So I propose not to go not in too much details because there are not too much details to discuss. So the
Mm-hmm.
question that I would like to discuss with you is how do you see this purchasing rally that happened, this, let's say, let's call it pre-CBAM purchasing rally that happened in the past month, how it will influence European fertilizers market in December and onwards? Because what I hear from different markets is that January will be completely dead in terms of purchasing because nobody wants to take the risk of first CBAM, let's say, registration. What do you think? How do you see it for the Polish market and for your regional markets?
Well, Poland is slightly in a bit different situation because we've got these two big national producers. So whatever happens, Poland will have fertilizers. You know, maybe we'll have less urea, but in the end, both Krupa, Azoty, and Albi can fully supply our market. So I just don't see any risk of shortage or you know that it will really play a big effect that we will see less products being imported in Q1. But what you're saying is completely true, and also this is my approach because with all the unclarity that is now connected to CBAM, because it's not only the fact how much am I going to pay, but the most important thing for me is how do I proceed, you know, and I clearly have no idea how are we supposed to, you know, make the whole administration process with custom clearing, with securing the CO2 emissions. Do we need to like hold it in our books and finance it, whatever? How are the whole procedures going to look from the customs office? So honestly, I don't want that trouble. So I'd rather buy today and just let's see how the process will evolve, and you know how our customs offices will react to the CBAM procedure, and this is something that discourages me completely into taking any risk for being the first one to import with CBAM values, because okay, it makes sense. I don't know, let's take a Nigerian cargo, maybe we could discuss some nice levels, sub 400 FOB plus freight. Okay, we might have a possible good level, but how to custom clear it, how to calculate it, to whom to discuss. Okay, listen, how are you going to interpret the law, or how you're going to implement it? It's a complete disaster and complete chaos that I'm seeing right now, and I think everyone that's making these purchases today, everyone is just wants to have it safe, because in the end, either we don't supply our customers and we don't make the business at all, or we take the product and we have it ready for deliveries in Q1 in the moment that really our customers will will need it. And honestly, it's a huge risk, because, for example, if you arrive in January, let's say even you'll be able to discharge the cargo. You have a bonded warehouse or a customs area, whatever, and you'll be able to discharge the cargo. And then the customs office will take, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, to clear out the procedures, or to make a decision. Oh, this is how we were supposed to do it. And then you're already into application period. And you're late with your deliveries. You're late with your customers, with your contracts. So it's a super big risk on both logistics and let's say the administrative level. So I really expect that when CBAM will be introduced, maybe we will see some single cargoes, or I don't know, the other producers, like someone that imports aluminium, steel, or something like that. Okay, maybe you take the first risk, and we just step back and watch how we do it.
Indeed, indeed. Too many uncertainties, too many
Exactly.
risks, too many.
It's not about the price, because if you know the price, the CBAM is 40 euros.
Yeah.
I speak with Egyptians or Algerians. Listen, this price will work minus, I don't know, 40 euros CBAM. I need, I don't know, $420 FOB level from you, and this is the price that's going to work for Europe. But on the administrative side, how do I go through the whole process? No, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Exactly. Exactly. I see also other uncertainties if we take a broader view, let's say a more global picture. And these uncertainties are related to the risk of some larger problem, let's say, because many international analysts now discuss that global recession might be not that far away. And some of them think that it might hit the globe in upcoming, let's say, 6 to 9 months. What is your opinion? How, if it happens, of course, how it can influence on top of all the other uncertainties and problems that we already have, how it can influence agricultural and fertilizers markets?
We can already see that for example, in Germany. I think it's the first time in many years that Germany is closing their factories for cars, for automobiles. That's clearly a sign that something's happening. Due to all the limitations, especially, let's say that the whole green agenda and low CO2 emissions, etc., is weighing so heavy on European production. So I don't think it's a good road. I'm also hearing that, for example, especially in Germany, because I just speak with these guys quite often. They see that, for example, there's market for renovations. It's really collapsing. Just people don't have enough money to renovate their homes, buy these construction materials, etc. So we already are seeing that, let's say on the local scale, let's say this more like commercial side, and now it might happen the same with industrial side. Look, for example, at Fibrant. Fibrant might close their caprolactam production in Europe and just call it quits and just focus on their Chinese business and start doing Chinese imports. Yara is heavily reinvesting their business. Factory in Belgium. So there are numerous examples how already European producers are shifting and trying to reestablish their business. So I think if big traders or let's say more wise heads out there are discussing the global recession, there is 100% something in it, and everyone already is adjusting. Yara might be also preparing, with pushing their results and acquiring as much capital right now as possible. They might be preparing for a tougher period, because it might be so that they will not be very successful. And also, the regulations that we see in our sector, in industry, like what's happening in Denmark, that, for example, the cattle farmers in Denmark are supposed to be a subject of CO2 trade. It's like, okay, we have our economy problems, and then we have these really nonsense, bureaucratic things that are also happening, or just capturing CO2, and then making really farmers, to get some CO2 credits if they build a lot of bios back into their soil. It's just like, come on, guys, like, let farmers do their job, and not be involved in the bureaucracy that's happening. So I see a lot of challenges coming forward, and already a lot of European producers are restructuring. Achema, one ammonia line still not operational. They've been trying to reestablish the production, but not successful. Fertiberia also restructuring, switching to that green ammonia, pushing some new project, but also, Fertiberia is not in the best position. OCI also not great results, but plus they were splitting their ways with Fertiglobe. It didn't play out well for what, they let's say, didn't come to terms. So everyone is struggling. Everyone is struggling. So the recession is a fact. It is coming.
Let's hope that our sector and ourselves will go through it with, let's say, less problems and less challenges,
In
if it
the
is
in the
possible at
end,
all.
in the end, people need to eat. So
Yes.
I think this is like when COVID hit the first time, like, and a lot of industries were closed, and farming was not impacted that much, because in the end we are in the food producing business. So I would say, in this regard, it's a safe haven.
I agree. I agree. Thank you very much, Wojciech, for this super interesting discussion. And I would like to finalize it with a couple of more, let's say, personal questions,
Yes.
because I think it's always interesting for people to know people in more
Mhm.
details. And in our industry, we are not that much close, I would say, at least as per my experience. So, my first question to you would be, after many years that you have already spent in fertilizers industry, what is
Mhm.
that still inspires and surprises you?
uh how, let's say, the first years of my work, and then, establishing myself and learning about the business, we had that nice supply demand driven market, and right now we have that complete shift, and it's happening all the time right now, that we need to adjust almost every day to the market conditions. First was COVID, then it was war, then it was some new tariffs. Poland had to switch completely, like almost in a day, from being a very big buyer for Russian fertilizers into, for example, we've been taking Indonesian cargos, Nigerian. We switched completely from, coasters to big cargos. So it just, it motivates you to be out there every day, and just hammer it down and reestablish yourself, and teach yourself new things. Plus, the changing environment. We never, 5 years ago, would we be discussing CBAM, like, and now that's the main discussion, that some new things that we need to learn every day. And I think that's why I think the business is so interesting, that it has, even though, it's fertilizers, it's a lot of dynamic, and it's really fun.
I agree. Dynamics and agility, yeah, that's
Exactly,
definitely true.
exactly.
My second question is about myths. If you can master
Mhm.
one myth about fertilizers or fertilizers industry, what would it be?
I'd say that people that say or have that myth that fertilizers are boring should shouldn't really say that because I honestly I've met with CF Fertilizers. We had a dinner together, and one of their managers said he had discussion with his father, and he's like, "You have this boring job. You know, you're selling fertilizers. You should get married as soon as possible because you know you're not gonna have a lot of chances." But today it's like no way, no way, Jose. It's. I think that's the biggest myth out there. You know that we are working in a simple and boring business. It's super dynamic and super changing, fast changing environment right now.
Indeed. And my final question is, how would you explain in simple words to your grandma, for example, what is your job as a fertilizer trader?
No, I think it's. I'd say it that I buy cheap and sell expensive. You know, this is something I tell my grandmother. You know, this is something I do every day. That I need to just buy cheap and sell expensive, and that's my job.
Dream work, I would say.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Thank you again, Wojciech, and I wish you, Polish Agro, and all the farmers that you serve a very good season ahead. And I hope to see you sometimes here again at my channel and discuss
Yes.
how the season passed and
Hmm.
discuss the good results that you received. Thank you again.
Super. Thank you, Maria, and have a great day. So best regards to the whole crowd that's gonna watch it, and I hope you have fun, guys, hearing to old guy talk.
Thank you, Wojciech. Thank you for watching. As usually, I will leave all credentials of Wojciech and Polish Agro in the comments. Please let me know in the comments which other questions related to Northern and Central European markets in agriculture or in fertilizers you would like to uncover, and I will be glad to do so with Wojciech next time. Please subscribe to the channel, put like to this video, and see you soon.